Good morning, everyone. My name is Elisa, and I am here today with you from University Express program, Erie County Senior Services free lifelong learning program for older adults. Thank you so much for being here with us virtually for this special class. I want to mention University Express is now available at 26 different senior centers and libraries throughout Erie County. No membership is required at any location, and classes are open to anyone who registers to attend. You can also participate in our virtual classes, which you guys are all a part of today. And we're also live streaming from 3 different senior centers. So hopefully you'll check that out in our catalog and join us for some more virtual programming. Now on to today's class. You've all joined us muted without your videos showing. And it's not because you've done anything wrong. We just want to let you know those are the features of our classes. There's nothing you can change about that. Um, the way we communicate with class participants is through the chat button at the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. You can feel free to open that box. I'm going to send everyone a little message once we get started. And that way it'll be open on your screen. You can type in any questions whenever they pop into your mind. I'll monitor that chat, and at the end of the presentation, we can have Brendan answer as many questions as time permits for. So today is the perfect timing for this class called Google Photos. After all, 'tis the season to take lots of pictures. We called in our expert on all things computers related to help us. Google Photos and how to use it was a class recommendation of so many of our previous students, and we're happy that Brendan agreed to put a class together on this topic for University Express. So now I want to tell you a little bit about Brendan, and then we're going to get started. Brendan Chella has been a professional librarian since 2013, with his latest position being with the Buffalo and Erie County Public Library System, where he's been since 2001. Outside of work, he is an avid Buffalo sports fan and video gamer. So now I'd like to welcome Brendan to University Express once again and sincerely thank him for taking time out of his busy schedule to be here with us today. So
Hello,
have at it, Brendan.
everybody. Um, so let's get started. I will say, uh, uh, Alyssa, I am open to taking questions at like when they pop up, because usually
Okay,
that's better timing, so I don't have to go like back and forth between slides.
okay,
So
perfect.
if a question comes up, like I'm willing to answer it, but it has to at least be related to the slide that is on screen or a slide that I might have just done, just to kind of keep with the flow of the presentation.
Okay, awesome. I'll monitor the chat and I will let you know as soon as something pops in.
Okay, cool, cool, cool.
Okay, awesome.
So we are gonna get started. I am my full name is Brendan Chella. I am a librarian, as Alyssa said, at the Central Library downtown. I run our Techno Lab, which is our technology training center. So I do a lot of these classes throughout the county for University Express at other libraries and at other senior and community centers. So today's topic is Google Photos. Oh, uh-oh. Okay, there we go. So what is Google Photos? Google Photos is a cloud-based photo and video storage system. So this is where your photos and videos are going to be stored online instead of being stored on your phone. Now, the most important part of Google Photos is you need a Google account. Now, for those that are in this presentation, if you have a Gmail account, that is the same thing as a Google account. So, whatever your Gmail address is, whatever your password is, that's the same thing that can get you into Google Photos. If you don't have one of these, it is also free to just create an account through Google's website. So if you don't have an account, you have to go to Google's website. You attempt to sign in. There's usually a big sign in button at the top of the screen. And instead of typing in your information in like the box that's right here that says email or phone, you click on the button that says create account. Once you do that, you get a screen that looks like this, where you put in your first name, your last name, an email address. It could be whatever you want. Usually a good strategy if you don't have one is just doing your first and last name. Hope it's not a common one like John Smith, because that's probably already taken. And you put in a password. It has to be a minimum of 8 characters, but it can be all letters, all numbers, all symbols, or typically a mix of both. Now, accessing Google Photos, you can go through one of 2 methods. You can go to the Google Photos website, or what's more common nowadays, the Google Photos app. Now, the website itself is you have to access that through a web browser. You might know a web browser better as Google Chrome, Safari for Apple, any Apple users out there, Firefox, or Microsoft Edge. So you have to manually go into one of these programs, type out the web address for Google Photos website, and visit the website through that. Now, the app version is a little, for me, is a little simpler. An app is a program that you download for a mobile device, such as a smartphone or a tablet. And you have to go to a place like an app store on your device. Most commonly, the 2 more popular stores are the Google Play Store and the Apple App Store. And what an app actually shows is a condensed version of the website. You're going to see the exact same contents, the exact same buttons. It's just going to be shrunk down to a smaller screen. Now, a nice thing is Google Photos is not exclusive to just Google. You can use it on any device or through any web browser. So I don't just have to have a Google Android phone or tablet or go through Google Chrome. I can use Google Photos on Apple devices or Microsoft devices, or I can go through one of their web browsers to get access to this. So you don't just need Google, you can just go to Google Photos from anywhere, which is very convenient because I'll say I have an Apple iPhone and I use Google Photos on it all the time to help create and facilitate these lessons that I put on. Now, Google Photos is typically on most devices a secondary service. It is not initially, this means it's not initially available on a device. You yourself have to either install the app or go through your device's web browser to access it. So let me see. So what this means is when you get an iPhone or an iPad, Google Photos is not going to be on there. you have to go to the Apple App Store or go through Safari in order to access it. When you get a Microsoft computer, you have to go through Microsoft Edge in order to gain access to Google Photos. It's not just built instantly into your computer. So speaking of computers, sorry for the blurry photo. That's unfortunately the best I can do. When you access a computer, your typical primary save points for photos and videos are the pictures folder and the videos folder. These are usually located on the left side of your screen whenever you open a folder. It's like documents, the downloads folder. They're just the basic folders that always come with your computer. So whenever you save a photo on a computer, it will by default typically go here unless you yourself had changed that. Now, for us Apple users, this is the default Photos app, photo and video app for Apple devices, and it is simply called Photos. Now, don't let that name fool you. It will also be the default location where any videos will also be saved. Now, Androids are a bit different. Androids, if you don't know, are Google-powered devices, whether that's a smartphone or a tablet. And the problem with Androids, unlike Apple, which are pretty much have been the same devices for ever since they started coming out over a decade ago, Androids have many different models made by many different companies. So you can get as high-end as Samsung, or you can get as low-end as TracFone, or you can even go to the I think it's Dollar General, and you can buy Android devices there. Now, some of these devices have Google Photos as the sole media app. They don't have any other way for you to store your photos and videos that you take on your device. Some other devices have two primary save points for items. These are called gallery and video. So these are the images right here. The one on the left is gallery. The one on the right is video. So unlike Apple devices where everything just gets saved to the same location, if you take a video with your, say, your Android smartphone camera, you take that photo, it will end up in gallery. But then if you take a video next, it's going to end up in video. But as I mentioned, these tend to be on older Android devices. Nowadays, it's pretty much everything is all built into, like that first point up there, they're all built into just Google Photos. Now, as what the purpose of this section is to show you is what are your options for what to use on your device. So the first option there is you get to save in your primary photo option and Google Photos. What this does is you now are doubling up. You are now saving a copy of photos and videos in whatever your primary app is. And at the same time, you're saving the same stuff in Google Photos. This can get a bit confusing for people because now you have to jump between two different apps to organize your photos. Now, do you want to save just in your primary option? this will be the second option. This will make it a lot simpler to follow along with your photo and video collection. So like if you have an Apple iPhone, you can just go through Photos. You don't have to download Google Photos at all. You don't have to use it. So then again, what is the point of having Google Photos on your device if you're not going to use it? The other option is, for some of you, this might be, Google Photos might be your primary photo option. But for others, you might debate, well, I want to use Google Photos exclusively. Well, then you have to make sure you ignore whatever your primary option is. So again, using Apple as an example, if I wanted to go all in on Google Photos, then I would have to ignore the Photos app on Apple and make sure everything is deleted from it so that I don't confuse myself about where stuff is going. So before I continue on, are there any questions on any of the slides that I have shown? No, there probably is, but is there any comments or questions out there that you might have?
Nothing is showing through the chat.
Okay.
Just a
Okay.
thank you for doing this class, Brendan.
Okay. Cool, cool, cool. So let's go to the next point. So now that you kind of know what Google Photos is and what it can potentially, what your options on your devices are, we now have to go over how Google Photos actually works. And the way it works is through what is called the cloud. So, I found I have an error here. Sorry, these classes are how I usually discover if there is an issue. Right. So, what is the
Actually,
cloud?
Brendan, can I
Yes.
interrupt you for 1 second?
Sure.
A question did just come through.
What
So
is it?
one person would like to know, can you save just only on your computer?
I go over that later.
Okay. And the next question is, how do I know what my primary photo location is on my cell phone?
Unfortunately, you just have to look for whatever that option is. Like, I can't necessarily tell you. If the person has an Apple device, let me go back. So if that person has an Apple device, just look for this app on your phone. Now, if you have an iPhone, no, if you have an Android device, you're either going to look for one of these two options. And if you do not see those, sorry if I'm moving, look for the Google Photos logo. The unfortunate thing is, with the variety of devices out there, I can't with 100% certainty tell you what your primary is. I can take an educated guess like I'm doing with these slides right here. But they just have to look and make sure that's where their stuff is getting saved.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much.
Yep. So, what is the cloud? Now, we actually are doing, I believe this is the full subject the next time I'm doing a virtual class for you guys. But a brief explanation here. The cloud is internet storage. So the idea is you are saving something not on your computer or not directly on your device, but you're saving it online. Now, what can freak people out about the cloud is that second point is where, if you're not saving it on your device, where is it going? One of my coworkers at a library I previously worked at had a very funny sign making fun of the cloud, and that's where I get this from, is you are saving your stuff on someone else's computer. Now, in our case, with discussing Google Photos, you are saving your stuff on a Google computer somewhere in the world. Whether that's in the US, another country, doesn't matter. It's being saved on a computer system owned by Google. Now, in order to access, I think I'm going to add stuff here. Give me a sec. So the big thing here is you have to have, in order to access this cloud account, you have to have an internet connection and you have to have your correct login information. So in this case for us, if you want to access Google Photos from your computer or your device, you have to be connected to the internet and you have to use your Google login. Now, a benefit of the cloud is you can see your stuff on multiple devices. So, for example, I have my Google account actually opened right now. This slide is on, this presentation is being done through my Google Cloud. But I have my Google login on this computer, my iPad, my iPhone, my work computer, and my 2 computers at home. And I can see all the same stuff from all those devices at the same time. However, you have to make sure that you are logged in correctly on all those devices. So, for example, this actually happened to my mom a couple days ago. You might be able to access your account on your computer that you just changed your password on, but if you have a cell phone with the old login on it, you are not going to see what is currently on your account. The cloud can get very confusing, but the idea is you just have to be logged into the same account on all devices. Otherwise, everything is not going to be in sync. So I like using this as an example to illustrate it. So imagine the computer that's in the bottom left corner is my home computer. And the one in the bottom right is my work computer. The one in the top center, that is the cloud computer owned by Google. So through the internet, I can work on something on my home computer. It saves to my cloud computer. And then I can go over to work and open up the same thing that I was just working on at home with all the changes I made. A common one that I usually do here is I will do all my presentations on my work computer. I save it to my Google Cloud. And then when I go to make a presentation at like a senior center or a community center, I'll bring along a laptop, log into Google on that, and I get that same presentation. Now, with the little basics about the cloud anyway, we're going to get into the Google Cloud. So specifically, the main cloud service for Google is called Google Drive. This is the logo for it. You can access Google Drive through both a website, the website, which is what I'm doing right now, or you can access it through a mobile app. Now, the initial cost of Google Drive is free. All you have to do is create a Google account, and boom, you get 15 gigabytes worth of storage. I will let you know that is a lot of storage, especially for photos. Now, for comparison, for those that have Apple devices, Apple only gives you 5 gigabytes worth of free space. Here, Google gives you triple that. Now, just like Apple, if you need more space than this 15, it does come at an additional cost. Here's those additional costs. So to go from 15 to 100 gigabytes, it costs you $2 a month. To double that space, it costs you an additional $1. And then to go up to 1 terabyte, which is 2,000 gigabytes, it is $10 per month. Now, any questions on the cloud or how the Google Cloud works?
Nothing as of right now, Brendan.
Okay, cool.
Oh,
Now,
hang on. I'm sorry.
we got
One
one.
just came through. How many
Sure.
photos for 15G?
I stopped putting that information up because it can vary wildly. So if you are say a professional photographer that takes very high quality, like HD or 4K photos, that is going to be a lot more than the selfie that you took while you went to a sporting event. It used to be, for me, the basic was like if you just took like a lot of common photos are about 3 megabytes. So it could get up to 6,000 photos, but that can vary wildly depending on like the quality of photo that you are putting in. So again, like I can't give a definitive number just because of the wildness of the wildness of quality. If that makes sense. Does that
Can you,
answer that person's question?
I think
That
so,
person's
it
question?
does. The next one is, can you delete things from the cloud?
I answer that later.
Okay, cool. So then we're all caught up.
Mhm.
Thank you, Brendan.
So, uploading and downloading. So, these are two very important terms to know when it comes to utilizing Google Photos. The importance of these is how you move files between cloud services and your devices. Oh, I think I just saw a question pop up that might relate to something we just went over.
Okay, here we go. Yes, a new one just came up. Do I have to set up my devices to all contain the same photos?
So this actually relates to, I think, a few slides back. So what happens with Google Photos, if you want to view the same stuff on all devices, you either have to just access the website, install the app, but then you have to make sure that you use the same Google login on all those devices. That is the key part of it. But once you put in that login, it will instantly show you all your photos. So you do have to make the work of going to each device and setting it up individually, but once you do that setup, all your photos are just going to instantly pop on it. So if you have 1,000 photos, if you saved 1,000 photos to Google Photos from your cell phone, if you go over to a computer and log into Google Photos there, you're going to see the same 1,000 photos. But if you add a photo from that computer to Google Photos, you'll see that new photo on your phone. Everything just gets interconnected. Hopefully that answers your question. Now to go back to this. So uploading and downloading, the importance of these two terms is these are how you are going to move files between cloud services and your devices. So the importance of uploading is you're taking an item that is offline and putting it online. So the example would be if you just took a photo of your dog and you have it on your cell phone, it is offline. It is not available online yet. But then I move it over to Google Photos, and now it is online. Now, the next term is probably one you are more familiar with. This is called downloading. This is when you're taking an item that is online and putting it offline. So this would be like you open up Google Photos on your computer. Oh, sorry about this.
Hello and welcome to the Downtown Central Library.
Unfortunately, I'm right next to our announcement speaker.
Studio and more. If you need any assistance, please see a staff member.
All right, there we go. So this would be like you have a photo in Google Photos that you want to save to your cell phone. This is where you would take that photo that is online and make it available offline. So you don't need Google Photos to see this particular item anymore. You can just show it off without having the need of an internet connection. I show that later, Reva. I have a whole section on that. So the question was, how do you move a photo between online and offline? I do go over how to do that. So one thing with Google Photos is the auto backup option. So when you take a cell phone, when you take a photo, it's initially just offline. So like right now, I have all my auto backup stuff turned off. So if I take a photo with my cell phone, it's just offline. If I lose my cell phone, I lose all my photos. What auto backup does is it gives you that peace of mind that your photos are always backed up. Now, what this means is when you take a picture or you take a video, it is instantly saved to Google Photos. You don't have to think about moving it or uploading it into the cloud. It will instantly do it for you. Now, what this means is you will now have 2 copies of that item. One that is saved offline and one that is saved online. So if you, by chance, lose your device or your device breaks, you might lose your offline copies, but all your online copies would still be available because, as we remember with the cloud, your stuff is being saved on another computer somewhere else. Now, the nice thing with Google Photos is it allows you to turn this function on or off at any time. So theoretically, if you're running out of cloud storage for your photos and you want it to stop automatically backing everything up, you can turn that function off. So this is just a picture of what it looks like in my Google Photos account. So as you see in the circled item, I have my backup off. So that means, again, if I take any pictures with my phone, they're not automatically just going into Google Photos. I have to press that button that says turn on backup. Now, if you see the item that says backup, or you just see a cloud and it tells you how much space you have, then you know that your backup is on. Now, for somebody like me that has that backup off, but I still like Google Photos, it allows you to still add items into the service without the backup being on. So the cool thing is it allows you to be a little more customizable with cloud storage versus the Apple iCloud that is all or nothing. With Apple devices and their photos, either all the items are going into the cloud or none of them go into the cloud. There's no in between. With Google, you can turn the automatic backup off, but what it allows you to do is create a more customizable photo experience. So for me, I don't like adding my personal photos, like pictures of my dogs, me and my wife, family, into the cloud. However, I want to be able to add my sports card photos. I'm a big sports card collector, and it's what I use Google Photos for. That's something that I cannot do with Apple. So even though I am an Apple user, I don't use their photo system for this reason. So here, if I wanted to make sure none of my personal stuff is getting into the cloud, but still be able to back up items into the cloud, Google allows me to do that. So any questions on backing up? Yep. That is a very good question, sir. So the question we had, um, is, let me bring the chat back up. Can I back up photo and delete the one that's on the computer and phone? Well, Chris, that is exactly what I do with my sports card photos. So what I do is I will put my sports card on a table and take the photo with my phone. Then I will upload it into Google Photos. Once I am in Google Photos and I know that it is backed up to the cloud, I can safely delete the offline copy that I originally took. This is actually the reason why I do use Google Photos. Is I was running out of cloud storage space on my phone, and I had hundreds of sports card photos on it, and it was a very simple way to open up more space on my device and also take advantage of the benefits of the cloud when it came to being able to access my sports card photos from anywhere. So I still have access to all these card photos, but they're not taking up space on my phone anymore.
Brendan, we have one more question that came through. It says, I have my photos auto-saved to iCloud, Google Photos, Amazon Prime, and OneDrive. Is this a bad idea? It does get rather confusing.
Yes. So, I mean, yes and no. So, no, you're making sure that you have multiple backups, which is never an awful thing. But what I have found is it confuses the heck out of people because now you don't know where everything is just, you have too many places to go for your photos. I keep mine very simple. I have the potential to either use the iCloud and Google Photos. That's it. I don't use any other service for cloud photo backing up because now I know it's either going to be on Apple or it's going to be on Google. I don't have to go to 4 or 5 other places to look for these photos. So again, it's kind of a double-edged sword. Yeah, you're, in case Apple fails, you have these 4 other options. In case Amazon fails, you now have 3 other options. And again, it's never a bad thing, but it makes it that much harder to keep track. And you have to ensure that all of those services have the same exact photos. And that's what can make it difficult to keep track of, because how are you 100% certain that you have the same photo collection on every single cloud service? I deal with plenty of patrons that have that issue where they have so many they have so many, so much cloud storage being used up that their what systems have what photos is entirely different. So they might have the same 1,000 photos on Apple device on their iCloud backup and their Google Photos backup, but then for storage reasons, you might only have half those photos on Amazon, half those photos on any other service you use. So then it's now, how do you balance that out? And it just, again, adds more time, makes it more cumbersome. I only recommend doing 1 or 2. Does that make sense to you? Let me know. So we are going to get into organizing. So let's hide that. Oh, click on screen. Yep. So when you start using Google Photos, the initial organizing is they are just dumped into one giant folder called Photos. So there's no, if you just decide you have 1,000 photos on your device and I'm going to back them up to Google Photos, those 1,000 photos are now just in a giant folder together. Now, the thing is with Google Photos, it is organized by the day the items were uploaded, not when they were created. So if you have a photo from, say, 5 years ago that you took on a trip to, Disney World, then when you add it to Google Photos, the date on the photo is going to be today. It's not going to be the date 5 years ago. Now, the nice thing is if you have that auto backup on when you take that photo, then the date that you upload and the date the photo was taken are going to be one and the same. So that's where, like, being able to just use one of those services and have auto backing up activated is going to make it a little easier to organize your photos. So this is what the photos folder looks like. If you can tell, I'm a sports card fan and also a Cleveland baseball fan. But the folder we are in is called Photos. So if I scrolled further down the screen here, you're just going to see the date I uploaded all of these photos. So like that item that says on the far right that says Friday, May 6th, that's not the date I took the photo. That is the date I added it to my Google Photos folder. Now, when you go to these folders, there's a couple different things that you can do to navigate it. So what the website version has is a clickable timeline. So if you know when you uploaded those photos, you can click on a specific date and it will show you something like this. So there is like a month for May 2023. And I click on that and it will show me this list. Now for the app to quickly move between photos, you can just swipe up and down the screen. But a quicker way to move around is it offers you a slider that will more quickly jump you around your list. So that usually makes it a lot easier for me to do uploading when I have to select a photo. I can more quickly, or downloading, I can more quickly move to stuff that I just currently took. So I don't have to scroll through thousands of photos. I can just move this list very quickly up to the top of the screen and see my most currently available items. Now, as I said, the one folder that you initially get is just called Photos. It's a dumping ground for everything. Now, if you're anything like me, I'm an organization freak. I don't just like looking through one big album and trying to look through everything like it's 52 card pickup. I want my photos of my favorite baseball player. I want photos of Josh Allen. So albums allow me to better organize my collection. So albums, as I said, are folders for items. Now, the problem for albums that to be aware of is items have to be added individually to a specific album to appear there. So, for example, if you just decide to upload 1,000 photos to Google Photos today, they aren't going to instantly appear in an album. But if you want to put them into an album, you have to go through each 1,000 all those 1,000 photos and add each item individually. Now you can group add. So if you wanted to take the first 500 photos and put them into their own album, you'd be able to select those 500 items and move them into an album. Now, the location for an album is called the library. So if we look here, you look on that left side of the screen, you'll see the word library. Underneath library is albums. Underneath there, you see a sample of some of my albums. I have CLE, stands for Cleveland. I have the name of my favorite pitcher, my favorite hitter, an album for sports memorabilia, an album I use to transfer around photos for my classes, and another album of cards with my second favorite pitcher on the team. However, all of them will still appear in the main photos album. So essentially, you're not moving the photo permanently into an album, you're just copying and pasting a photo into that album. Now, when you want to create an album through the website, what you're going to want to do is click on the word albums, click on the button that says create album, and then from there you can add a name, and then you can start adding items there if you wish. So, for example, I am in the website version of the albums folder, and circled is a button that says create album. I found an error already. Give me a second. It is fix circles. I click on create album, and then I get this option where, again, I can add a title, and then I can select photos to add into there. Now, the app is fairly similar, but again, slightly different. You are going to tap on the word library. You are then going to tap on the word new album. And then again, you add the title and add items. So this is how the app version of albums looks like. So then I tap on the new album square. And again, it should look very similar to what the website offers. Now, when you create an album, you get what is called an album cover. What this shows is, by default, the first photo you add to the album name, and how many items are in it. So, for example, my folder that has all my Josh Allen cards shows the first card that I have in it. Unfortunately, I just sold this card a couple months ago. So, this item is the first photo that you will see when you go into the album. Then you see the name of it, which is called Buff-Josh Allen. And it says I have 29 items in it. Now, I can change the cover photo after the fact once I have more items in the folder. So if I wanted to do, like, say, instead of a rookie card, I want to do the latest card that I bought from him, I can click on that photo and switch it over to the cover. Within an album, when you open it up, you will see all the content in that specific album. When you do go into it again, it will allow you to see, there will be an option in there that looks like 3 dots. I found another error. Nope. I accidentally created my scanner button. Uh-oh. Sorry about that. So, what that 3-dot button allows you to do is you can make edits to that particular photo or album. You can change the cover of the album. And what our next section is going to be on, you can order photos directly from that album. So, any questions on organizing? That was probably the longest section I've done in here. So, take your time to shoot me over any questions. I will add the organizing part is probably the longest thing that I had to do with Google Photos. Since I had never used it before and I had hundreds and hundreds of card photos to move over and organize, that process of doing it took me, I had to really concentrate. It took me about a week to get everything right. Now, if you've used Google Photos from the start, it's not going to be a problem for you. But if you've never used Google Photos before and you just decide, you know what, I'm going to transfer all 3,000 photos I have saved on my Apple iPhone over to it. Well, then you have to make sure that you know, okay, what types of organizing folders do I want? All right, now I got to go through and select what photos are going into what album. Again, that's going to take you some time. That's going to be a little bit of a project. But once you get that project done, then it's very simple to use afterwards. So if I don't have any organizing questions, I am going to go on to the next section, which is called,
Can you see that, Brendan? One did just come
yeah,
through.
how does it handle duplicates? Uh, it doesn't differentiate. So for example, a photo, I took a photo with my phone and then uploaded it to Google Cloud, the Google Photos. I could theoretically upload that photo again, but it's going to differentiate it because of that timestamp. So you could theoretically have multiple copies of the same photo stored in Google Photos, and it's not going to matter. You can also duplicate the photo from within there. I do that all the time with like lesson notes and presentations. I duplicate them and then move them around to different folders and then edit the names a little bit. But it allows you to just put duplicates in there, which again, if you take a lot of duplicate photos from, like, say, your cell phone, and you just decide, I'm going to blanket upload everything, well, all those duplicates that you've took with your phone are just going to get transferred over. Again, that is upon you to ensure what you're uploading is to your satisfaction. If you don't mind the duplicates, great. But if you want to make sure that you have no duplicates and that you are maximizing your space, then you have to go through and delete stuff, whether that's after the fact or before you upload. If that's the only question I have, I just want to check something here. 26.
Brendan, did you see the one that says, can photos be deleted from Google Photos? And maybe explain how?
I go over that in a little bit.
Okay, great,
I
thank you.
still go over that.
Okay, thank you.
If I don't, I'm still editing this class, so if I miss that, I'm pretty sure I go over it later. So,
And another one
ordering,
just came through. Did you see that one? Sorry for interrupting.
no, I did not. What was
It
the new one?
it says, I have old photos on my computer from before iPhones. Can I upload those to Google Photos?
Yep. It works the same way. You can upload photos that are just sitting on a computer into Google Photos, and they'll be fine. It's just nowadays, most people have a lot of their photos just on their phone. So I kind of focus on that a little bit versus what is sitting on your computer. But you can upload those the same exact way. It's just you would have to do Google Photos stuff through your computer for the time being. However, the convenient thing is once you upload all those photos into Google Photos, you could access that collection that was once just sitting on your computer through your cell phone. So it helps out quite a bit for that. And that's actually the example I do in a little bit. So, ordering. So, when you go through Google Photos, you can order one of three things. You can order a photo book. My wife and I just did this for our recent trip to London, and it works out great. It's a hardcover book that has the photos printed onto looks like book paper. And so instead of having like a physical photo album, you have this book to look through. You also get your basic photo prints, and then you could get fancier with it and get canvas style printing. Now, the cool thing is it allows you to send these photos through multiple different options. So you can go pick these photos up at CVS, Walmart, Walgreens, the places most people nowadays still do their photos at. or you can go directly through Google Photos. So instead of paying these other places and going to these locations, you can go directly through Google. And as I mentioned down there, they are usually the cheapest option of the four. So sorry if it's a little blurry. Again, it's very small on screen. But when you go to order photos through Google Photos, you get this list. So if you look at CVS, if you order an 8x10 of the picture that you want, you could pay $4 per print, up to 7 prints per order. So that is about $21. Walmart, a little cheaper. Walgreens is about the same price. But if you look at Google Photos, they are actually the cheapest for things like 4x6s, 5x7s, and then they give you the bigger prints, like they're almost poster set. They're poster size prints. So it makes it very convenient to be able to order these photos without having to actually bother going into a location. So any question on ordering? Again, I am assuming we've all done the CVS, the pharmacy, or Walmart style pickup. But I will say the Google experience, I have never had a bad thing to say about them. We've always done very well with it. Although I've never done the bigger poster size ones, so I would always be aware, like depending on how pixelated or what the original size of the photo you took is, that it could potentially not be a good option because they tend to get very blurry when you blow up smaller photos. So we are going to go on to the next thing, which is sharing. So sharing is one of the more useful features of Google Photos to get items out to friends and family. So why do you want to share? This allows you to let other people see your items on your account without having to send anything. So nowadays, what a lot of people will do with photos is they'll put them into text messages and send them to people that way. Or they'll attach them to an email and send. Or they'll go into like a social media service like Facebook Messenger and send photos that way. But with Google Photos, you don't have to send a single thing. You just have to put items into an album and then make that album viewable to other people. Now, the nice thing is, security-wise, is you do not have to provide access to your entire Google Photos account. So if you have like a dozen, I think that's actually, yep, that's my next example. So you can just share what photos, what albums you want. So for example, say I have a dozen folders in Google Photos, but I only want to share one folder. The other people that I share that one folder with will not see the other 11. They will only be able to access that one folder. And for the others, that one folder will appear in their accounts like a normal folder on their Google Photos. So they'll be able to go into it on a daily basis and see if you added anything else. I know a lot of people do this on that I've helped with Apple devices, that they have shared albums with like their grandkids or their kids so that they can instantly see photos of them without having the mess of going through text messages. So what are the limits? So when you share the album with someone, they cannot delete that album. They don't have the, as you, as the creator, are the only one that has the ability to delete anything. Now, there are additional limits that can be placed on individuals. So, for example, is that individual only able to view that album? Which means they can open the album up, see what's in there, but they can't do anything about what is in there. The next item is the ability to add. So if you want this person to be able to add photos to that album in addition to you being able to, you can allow that. So you can be as open with this sharing as you wish. But again, you have that ultimate control. You can delete the album. You can delete items added to the album. You can delete items that you put into the album. And you can remove access from people that you might not want to have that access. Now, receivers must have a Google account to accept access and interact. Now, the thing is, you can still have, you can, even if the person on the other end doesn't have that Google address, they can still receive the invite. So when you want to add somebody to an album, you have to put in their email address, and then Google will send them an invitation. But then when they click on that invitation, it will take that person straight to Google. Now, within your Google Photos account, there is a section specifically called sharing. This is where you can custom create a shareable album or create sort of a pre-made album. As I mentioned here, there's 3 that are usually in Google Photos. For pre-made, there's an event album, a travel album, and a family album. So that's what this section looks like. So again, create shared album, create an event album, create a travel album, or you can click on the button at the top. Oh. Slide headlines. So, if you had already created an album and you want to share it with somebody, you have to go to that specific album. You have to find the 3 dots that I mentioned before. And then this will bring up a menu called Options. And this will allow you, again, to do one of 2 things to share an album. You either provide somebody a link or you directly invite them. So this is the screen that you will see. So either you have to turn on link sharing or add people. So link sharing means you provide essentially a website link to an individual. What you do with this link, the problem with link sharing is anybody who has access can get to this link, can access that album. So if you decide to put this up on, say, Twitter, a social media site like Facebook or Twitter, then anybody who sees that link is going to be able to access the album. Now, it makes it easier to send out a mass invitation because you don't have to add individual email addresses, but you better make darn sure that you're sending it to people that you inherently trust or intend to be able to have access. So now, invite people again is where you can directly target specific individuals via an email. So I send Alyssa a direct invite. She's the only one that's going to be able to use that email to gain access. Also, this section allows you to see who has access to this album. So, for example, you see two people down here. One person, now that's me right there. That is my kindergarten photo for my Google profile. And then it shows me as the owner. Below that is an individual that has access. And if I click on those three dots, that will allow me to remove that person's access or edit what sort of access they have. So, any questions? Yep. So, if I'm understanding that question correctly, you're wondering, can the people that you send those to or share access print? The answer would be yes. Because they have, based on what permissions you are giving them, they have the same rights to those photos as you do. So again, when you share, you want to trust the people you are sharing with.
Okay, we have a couple more, Brendan, that might have just come through to me. Um,
Cool.
if I use Apple Photos app, can I take select photos and create an album in Google Photos so I can share that?
Yes, you can. As I mentioned earlier, even if you don't have Google Photos auto upload activated, you can just upload whatever you want on an individual basis. So if you want to be very selective with, like, say, you just took 100 photos on your trip to Europe and you want to create a shareable album, you could just upload all 100 of those photos to Google Photos and create that shareable album. So then what you have in there is just those 100 photos. Does that make, hopefully that answers that person's question.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. Okay, one more. I like to just attach a photo or video to my AOL email, but sometimes it says the file is too large. Is sharing the only way to send these files?
Yes and no. It depends. Sharing through Google Photos is great. Actually, I'm going to steal that idea. Thank you for whoever answered that question, asked that question. Files for. So the problem with email services is they limit the amount of stuff that you can attach at a time. So usually my experience with photos, it's about 4 or 5 photos that can be sent. Videos tend to be almost impossible to send through email. However, if you upload them, like this person's asking, into Google Photos and then share, then that person would be able to have access to the full item. So it's quite a useful service in that way.
Is there another way someone asked Brendan to share them, like a zip file that can be used to share photos, or is this the easiest way through the Google Drive?
That's the easiest way.
Okay, last question for this section. If I load Apple Pictures to my Google Drive, then delete one of those pictures, does that delete it on my Apple device as well?
It deletes it from Apple. Yeah, it would delete it from your device. I'll go over that deleting part, but there is if you delete the file from your device, If you delete your file from your device, then it will stay in the cloud. So you'll still have that photo will still be there, and you could theoretically just re-download it. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. Thank you
Okay.
very much.
Okay. So I realize I got to start blowing through this. I didn't realize we're already past the time. Um, Casting. So casting is you share content to another screen. So this you might be familiar with when you're trying to watch TV on your cell phone or in sending it to a bigger screen. Now, this feature only works in tandem with certain smart screen and streaming devices, and you have to be your device that you're sending casting the photos through must be on the same internet as those screens. So the example here that I would say is I connect my iPhone to my Roku smart TV at a party to show off my recent trip photos in Google Photos on a big screen. So normally, if you want to show off your photos, you have to take your individual phone and walk around to each person. But what you can do with casting is send it directly to a big TV screen and then show it off at once to everybody. So I used to do this I would have to connect my laptop computer via a wire to the back of my TV screen and sit at my computer to do this. But now I can just press a button on a Google Photos album and send it directly to a TV screen wirelessly. So here's an album for, again, one of my Cleveland pitchers. And you might recognize the symbol that is circled. It's a screen with a wave on it. As soon as I press that button, it will allow me to connect to any screen that is taskable within range of the device. Now, that list of casting devices will look very similar to a Wi-Fi network list or a Bluetooth list. So if you tried to cast something in my house, you'll see a list of devices. I have my living room big screen TV. I have one of my streaming sticks, and I have another one of my mini smart TVs. And if you press one of those buttons, it will instantly share your screen with that device. Sorry, I'm going to have to blow through questions here, so we might have to save questions till the end. So, offline backup. So, if you live your life through Google Photos and you're afraid of maybe something happening to Google Photos, you can still create an offline backup of photos stored there. There is an option called download. So if you go to an individual photo or individual item, individual folder, you would be able to just save an offline copy of those files. So if you want to be able to access this stuff on a computer, you'd be able to do so. Now, this is the option I'm showing you here. This is the download. So you click on those three dots. You'll see the word download, and then that file will get saved to your computer, your device. Now, I'm going to give you a bit of limitations here. So, if your photo was originally created on an Android device, your photo will get saved as what's known as a JPEG. That is the specific file type for photos. Any videos you take will be saved as what's called an MP4. These are easily accessible right away wherever you save them. So if you had taken a photo on your Android phone and saved it to your computer, you can open that file right away. Now for the problematic one, Apple devices. So anything, if you know anything about Apple, they are very protective of anything involving their devices. So when you take a photo with your iPhone, like I have right here, it saves it as what's called a HEC file. If you take a video, it saves it as what's called a MOV file. The issue with these are they are Apple exclusive formats, which means if you aren't opening this file up on an actual Apple device, whether that is a iPhone, iPad, a Mac computer or laptop, you cannot read that file. So, for example, if I take a photo with my iPhone, send it over to Google Photos, and then open it up on this, download it to this computer I'm on right now, I will not be able to read that file. Now, the workaround for that is very troublesome. So you have to open Google Photos. You have to open the file that you want to download. You have to right click on the image, click on the word save image as, and then you have to specifically select JPEG. So it kind of looks like this. Now, if you had an Android device and you went through all of this, you can simply press Google Photos download button and download all your photos to your computer and be perfectly fine. But if you try to do that option with anything created on an Apple device, your files are going to be unreadable. Here, you have to go one photo at a time to save it correctly. So it makes it very difficult as an Apple user to get out of the online photo storage universe, because you either have to have another Apple device, or you have to leave everything in Google Photos, or you have to do the tedious work of doing save image as on every single photo that you take. So any questions on that? If I don't have any questions, I will move on to the next slide. So I'm going to give you an example here of what you can achieve with Google Photos. This is something that I really got into Google Photos for because I buy and sell sports cards on eBay. I take all my photos with my phone, but I like doing a lot of the posting and eBay work on a computer. So how can I access the photos that I took on my phone on a computer? I have to add Google Photos to my phone. So there's a picture of my phone. There's the Google Photos app. Now I have to connect Google Photos to my default Photos app. This will allow me to see whatever I already have on my device in both locations. So the nice thing is, when you establish this connection, you don't have to go back and forth between, say, the Photos app and Google Photos. You can just go into Google Photos. So example, this trading card that I took with my cell phone, Google Photos was able to just instantly pick it up off my device. I didn't have to go into my photo app, my original Photos app, and transfer the item over. It just is going to appear there. Now, I have to upload it into Google Photos to have it stored there online. So every time you click on a photo, you are going to see, and it's not saved into the cloud yet, you are going to see that symbol. It is a cloud with an up arrow on it, which symbolizes the term upload. So that's a little bit more of a closer up shot of what it looks like. Now, once I press that button, that photo is in Google Photos. It is now stored it is stored in the cloud, and now I can go to any other device and access it. So now I go over to Google Photos on my computer. Oh, and there's the photo that I just uploaded. Now I click on the photo to open it, and then I right click. This gives me the option to name the item, decide where to save it as a image, and make sure that it is a JPEG image. Sorry, I pressed the button again. Jeez. Sorry about this. I have our scanner right next to me, and I keep clicking the button. And then I click save. So again, save image as, and I get this screen. So I can name it whatever I want and decide where I want to save the file. So now my file has been transferred from my phone to my computer. So if anybody remembers how digital cameras used to work, if you used a digital camera to take a photo, you had to walk over to a computer, plug the device into the computer, and then you have to search through the camera to find the file and then copy it over to your computer. Here, it's entirely wireless. In probably a matter of minutes, I can take something from here and put it onto another device. Now, deleting. I think, let me make sure this is the last. Yep, should be the last items. So, on the website, you click on the individual item. You go to those 3 dots that I mentioned. You go to move to trash, go to the trash folder, and empty trash. This might sound very familiar to email users because it is the exact same process as deleting an email. So again, I go to this item here, this photo here. I go to move to trash. It is in my trash bin. It will automatically delete after 60 days. But if I want to make sure my trash bin is completely cleared, I click on empty trash and it goes away. The app is a little different. You tap on the item, you do 3 dots, you move to trash, and you delete the item. However, all that's doing is moving it to the trash bin. So the trash bin is like its own individual folder. So you go look for it on the left side of your screen. And then I select the items, and then I have to press the word delete twice. So here's a picture of the floor in front of me. I move to trash, I delete. It goes to this trash bin, and I have to select the photo again. And then I click the word delete twice. Now again, as I mentioned, the trash bin will automatically empty after 60 days. So if you just want to delete something from an album, you don't have to go through this entire process. Now, if you go into an album and you just click on the word remove, it only removes the item from the album. It doesn't delete it from the main photos folder. So if you have all your photos organized into albums and you think that you just removed 10 photos from the Christmas 2022 album, then that photo is still going to exist somewhere in your main photos album. Now, I know I've mentioned this earlier. If you have the item backed up online, if the item is backed up online and you delete it from the cloud side of things, so you're deleting it from Google Photos, it will delete both the online and offline copies. However, if you back up an item and you only delete the offline copy, uh, give me one quick moment. Sorry, that was my supervisor knocking on my door. So if you delete an item from the offline side of things, only the offline copy goes away. Again, that's what I do with my sports card photos. I'll take the photo with my phone, move it into Google Photos, and then delete the photo that is on my device. Now the last slides. Sorry, I've taken a little longer than I thought, everybody. So now that I've explained the service to you, what are the pluses and minuses? So a huge benefit of it is it frees up space on your device. When you save something in the cloud, it does not take up space on your physical device. However, there's the privacy concern of you're saving your stuff on someone else's computer. So do you want to say one of you uploads your photos to the cloud and say my computer is the cloud? Do you feel comfortable with me having access to that stuff? And speaking of that, how comfortable or uncomfortable are you with cloud security? So in the case of Google, are you comfortable with Google's level of security, or do you fear that your stuff is going to get hacked if you store it in the cloud? Again, do these companies get hacked? Yes, they do. But they also have better security than you or I have. So again, depends on your tolerance level. With the cloud, you can have access to these photos from everywhere. So I know somebody asked about photos they have saved on your computer. To access those photos, you have to be at your specific computer whenever you want to see them. With the cloud, you can access those photos. Say you're over in Europe, you can access your photos there. Say you're on a cruise in the middle of the Atlantic, you can access your stuff there. However, the problem is if you lose your internet access, you lose access to any of those photos that are in the cloud. Because again, one of the key things for the cloud to work outside having the correct login is internet access. And then finally, I think this is the last item. It creates a backup so that if your device fails, you can still get access to those photos on another device. However, if you accidentally delete a photo that's stored in the cloud, you lose that photo. I had that happen when I tried using iCloud. I deleted a photo that was important to me, and I lost it forever. It's gone. Because the cloud backup was the only thing available at that time. So once I deleted that, it was all gone. So I know somebody again mentioned earlier that they have their photos backed up in 5 different cloud services. This would have prevented that from happening because at the time, that was my only cloud service I was using. So, and that is it. So I know we had a bunch of couple questions come through. Alyssa, what were they?
Yeah, so okay, here is a rather long one. I have numerous videos on my Android phones. I would like to save them all on an external storage device. Should I save all the videos to Google Photos and then export to the jump drive? Is that the best way I can do this? Can I download the Google app to an old phone that I'm not using anymore? Question mark. Would I be able to save these videos to a DVD or CD?
Sorry. Okay. Numerous videos on my Android phones. I would like to save them all on an external jump drive. Should I save all the video? Yeah, that's going to be the easiest way to do it because that Google, if you're using Google Photos on multiple devices, Gloria, that is the same account. So as long as you have the same Google log, again, this is the important part. As long as the Google login you are accessing on all these devices are the same, you are going to be saving to the same location. So if you had like 3 old Android phones, and you want to make sure you have everything off those devices, like all the videos or photos, you just upload everything into Google Photos, and then that material is going to be accessible on any other location that you want to access Google Photos on. So, like a good idea, hope this example works for you. So, if you have like 5 Android devices that you want to get rid of, you want to get rid of all 5 devices, but you want to make sure that you have all the videos off of them. You save everything to Google Photos. Then what you do is you go to a computer, open up Google Photos on there, and then all your photos and videos are going to be viewable right there. And then from there, you can plug in an external drive, a memory stick, whatever you're going to use, and save everything directly to it. Now, you do have the option if you get a very specifically designed jump drive that you could just plug directly into your phone and move stuff individually. But again, that would require you to go through those 5 devices in order to do that. Here, everything would just be condensed into one spot, and then you could do all the transferring from just a computer. Okay.
Okay, and we missed one other question, and then we'll let you go, Brendan. How long does a person have to access a shared link? So if you share a bunch of your photos via link, is that endless forever, or is there a time where it will be available to other people?
Can you repeat that question again?
Yeah, so if I'm sharing a link with videos and photos with you,
Okay.
and I'm wondering, will you have that link forever to access my photos and videos, or is it 30 days? Is there a time limit on how long that link will be available to the person you're sharing with?
No. So once you click on that link, the link is done. You have perpetual access until the creator decides to delete you from access.
Okay, got
So
it.
the link is only like a one-off. Technically, that link will work forever, but once somebody clicks on it, that person has access. So like that's the danger, like I said, with if you take that link and say you put it up on like Twitter or Facebook, and somebody can go back and see that post, they can click on that link and get access.
Okay, got it.
So it's kind of in perpetuity, But if that's why I like doing the uh, on an individual basis, because then at least the link is self-contained in that way. It's not going to break out because I'm just giving permission to that specific individual.
Okay, got it. Good advice. Okay, well, it looks like that is all of the questions we have for today. The great news is, I know it was a lot of information, a lot of really good information. We're getting a lot of thank yous through the chat as well, Brendan. Um, I want to let everyone know that we are recording this class. You can go to the University Express YouTube page in probably 2 to 3 days, and you can rewatch any of the sections you would like. I have shared Brendan's PowerPoint with everyone previously, so hopefully for those of you who didn't access your email before class, you will have the whole PowerPoint to go back and review. And really, thank you so much, Brendan, for such a great
Oh,
informative class. We learned so much today. I will be back next semester. Brendan's one of our most popular instructors, so you guys can count on that. We'll have him back with some new exciting topics when we start back up again in the spring. And I want to say happy holidays to everyone.
I'm pretty sure, and correct me if I'm wrong, Alyssa, I am doing the cloud class next week.
Your classes are not done. I don't have the full schedule with me right now, but I know you do have one more class with us. So
I
yes,
think it's next Tuesday at the same time on the cloud. So pretty much I think the class is like the general aspects of how Google Photos work, but it's not specifically on Google Photos.
okay, I'm trying to find it right now here, guys. Oh, yes. Okay, so next Tuesday, December 12th at 10:30. So you can sign up on the website as well. It's a virtual class just like today. Um, and yeah, we hope you'll sign up for that one as well. But Brendan will also be back in May with some exciting new topics and some of our favorites. And happy holidays to everyone, and you too, Brendan, if I don't see you.
Thank you.
Take care, everyone. Have a great day.